Okay, so we're looking at some street applications for the top position, the mount position. We're talking about how the classic mount can have some drawbacks when you are fighting on a hard surface. So we're making our transition into this, what I call a Russian mount, often referred to as a Z mount. We're talking about shoulder control. Oh, and just to reiterate, most people understand this, but when you're first having problems with this, and I want to make this clear because we're going to be solving this problem in a different way, is you have to be as far up on his chest as you can. What makes it uncomfortable is putting weight on the guy. And I'm not always, when I'm sitting here talking on film, I'm not always as tight as I can be because my partner has to sit here and have me sitting on here. And you can actually, he's got a good thick chest and I'm not that heavy, but it can still actually injure your ribs if you have a guy sitting on here long enough and he happens to sit wrong. So just remember, you want to be pulling yourself right up on the guy like this and sitting down hard on him. The reason why, if I sit back here, not only is it more comfortable for you, right? You should be able to do a sit-up, do a crunch here. And I may lose my balance and I may lose my position. So just keep your arms out of the way here. The farther back I am this way, the less pressure you have on his chest. Think of his spine here from the, maybe just beyond his chin down here. Well, look how long his spine is, right? I want to be here. And now his spine is only this long, so it's easier for me to pull up on his head. So what I'm saying here is if I'm putting pressure on his chest and I'm nice and deep, when I pull up on his head, it hurts his neck. If I'm way back like this and I'm pulling up on his head, all I'm doing is helping him to sit up. Kick your legs straight and sit up. Lose position, right? So that's a problem. You're going to figure that out the first couple days, but that's something we want to avoid. Beginners simply are sitting too far back. We're not mounting on his hips in this kind of mount. We're trying to get as close to his solar plexus and chest as we can. Now the next step, what some people call a cowboy mount, it's a good name for it, Cossack mount. We used to call it the Mongolian Mount because Mongolia was like east of Russia. So if I'm in the Russian Mount and moving this way, I can extend this leg and go here. This is good for the street, you know, unless you're really, really good with this. It causes space, and a trained guy is going to take advantage of this. This is something usually a heavy guy in tournament would use against a lighter guy to put a lot of pressure on him. But in the street, you can reverse that because once again, we're trying to take the strength out of him. We're trying to compensate for that, and we're not going to be worried about his technical escapes. So what I'm doing is simply shifting my weight from this S position, pull up on his head, and start extending your legs up. This again is good for the street because he's carrying all of my weight. I'm not going to pull up on his head and stuff, but again, I want to be pulling up as hard as I can and be inching my butt this way. And you can see that none of my body is touching the ground, so if it's a hard surface, gravel. Even if you're fighting on gravel, that Russian mount can be a problem because one leg is still in contact, depending what you're wearing. You start to have to pick out the rocks out of your leg the next day. You can avoid that by using this kind of one. I'm going to slide forward here so it's not too bad. I'm sitting right in your solar plexus arm, so I'm going to move back. But basically I want to put my butt right here and yank up on the guy while driving my heels into the ground. This allows me to put a lot of pressure on him. You can still do arm locks. At any moment I can shift either way back into my boom Russian mount here and do my arm locks. Okay, so that's one that some people call a cowboy mount, some people call a Mongolian mount, whatever, but it's the next step in how to put pressure on the guy, get him to give you his arms without having to have too much of your body in contact with the ground. Not only now we're dealing with the cement issue, we're now dealing with gravel. What if you're getting jumped in a parking lot? You know, where I live, there's still lots and lots of big gravel parking lots, and I've seen the results of people having to fight on the ground on these, and even the guys who win, which they hadn't been in a fight there. So this is a way to let him rub on the ground while having none of your body in contact with that gravel surface.